Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, America, and all of you listening live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Welcome back to Radio Toni Everyday Business with Grant Wood. And before I introduce you to the amazing Grant, just a quick reminder, if you missed any of our shows or you want further information about connecting with any of my fabulous co-hosts, please jump on over to radiotoni.com where you'll find links on how to connect with Grant and how to find out all the information about the wonderful things that he does. And here at Radio Toni Everyday Business, I have to say that I really like to interview people from the smaller businesses that keep us going. And I'm particularly happy to present Grant to the audience this week once again. He's a heartfelt entrepreneur and he loves working with people one-on-one and in small groups. As an ex-teacher, he's an educator and he has a wealth of knowledge and understanding about health, wellness, fitness, and the mind, body, soul connection. So with that in mind, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Grant. So Grant is a massage therapist and a Bodyflow trainer. He is 68 years young and he enjoys helping others maintain and improve all aspects of their life to recover from healing, to increase your flexibility and range of movement to general fitness without compromising your spine, muscles, tendons, and joints. And we all know as we age, it's our muscles, tendons, and joints that have the issues. So Grant particularly likes to work with people over 50 to enhance their lives through targeted programs, which include massage, reflexology, gentle flowing exercises, and his particular unique program called Bodyflow. Grant's business is designed to use his knowledge and understanding and his that's come from personal experience. So he's not talking about something that he hasn't dealt with himself, from sporting and work-related industries and injuries. He provides solutions to his clients around general wellness that doesn't hurt. He likes working with people who want to experience no or low impact style fitness and health that will improve as we age. So good evening and good afternoon, Grant. How are you?
I'm well there, thank you. Yes, it's kind of like being a little bit enduring, having this very hot weather that we've been experiencing over the last couple of days. So, yeah, because I've had a few sessions this morning as well. I've just come back from doing one, so it doesn't take much to get a little bit of a sweat up in this particular weather, but that's fine. We can just be grateful for the good weather we've been having and just got to deal with it and do what's appropriate, like hydrate, just continual hydration and things like that. Yeah.
I was going to say, for our American listeners who are going into winter, we here in Australia are going into summer, and the last couple of days have been incredibly hot. I know because I was in our capital, Brisbane, over the weekend and walking around in the city, and man, it was really hot. So I knew I'd been walking around by the end of the day. I was completely hot and sweaty. So, Grant, this week we want to talk about some of the conditioning beliefs that hold us back, particularly in relation to wellness, health, and fitness. What sort of conditioning beliefs do you come across in the people that you work with, Grant?
Oh, well, it's all that stems from our upbringing quite often on how our belief systems are developed. It might be gained from our parents or close associates and stuff like that. So we have a belief system of what we think wellness is all about or fitness is all about and all that. And I've discovered that a lot. And it's probably a bigger issue amongst guys. Because they're quite often their egos kind of like block them from learning other particular ways. So yeah, that's a big issue that I have with my fitness, because when I introduced my Bodyflow, a number of the people initially, especially guys, say, "Oh, you won't get enough cardio doing that," and I say, "Well, bring it on, and come and experience to find out otherwise," because that's one of my missions, because I had to change my belief system as well, and that developed from my horrific injuries that I sustained over my years of kind of belting myself up, where you kind of like had that belief that the only way that you're going to get in shape was you kind of like got to go hard. That whole philosophy about no gain or pain. You've got to kind of like no pain, no gain, which is kind of like a myth, because it doesn't have to be like that at law. The only people that sort of need to kind of like push themselves well behind the end, if you were competing in a high level, at a high level. But for the majority of people, they just want to look good, feel good, have the energy and vitality to do the things that they love to do. So they don't need to be beat up. Yes, still work to your threshold point, but there. So that's my whole being part of my mission, is to sort of enhance and alter people's conditioned belief system of what they think fitness, wellness, and that is all about. And I had to go through that journey myself.
So, Grant, essentially what you're saying is as we age, we don't have to push ourselves as hard and fast as we used to still maintain a good level of health and fitness. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely, we don't need to. We just work to the level where our body is allowing us to work. That's not your comfort zone, but your threshold zone. So you're then going to gain the benefits. But we don't need to push it way beyond. The only people, as I said, need to do, if you're in a high level competing, you're in a high level competing sport. But majority of people are not doing that. That's only a very small percentage who are doing that. Yes, and they got to push themselves to that ultimate limit. If you're in a high level team or you're a high level competing athlete, and I've been there, done that. But then my mission became, well, I want to help the everyday people who get put off by the exercise, because they get that conditioned image that, okay, the only way that you're going to get result is beating yourself up. You've got to go hard and aggressively to gain the results. And I've discovered through what's happened to me, that is just total a myth.
So for people listening to the show today and they've perhaps never done much in with exercise and health and fitness, and they're wanting to start off, what you're saying is that you don't be so tough on yourself, that you can actually get a wonderful range of health and fitness and the benefits that come with health and fitness by being a bit more gentle but considered about your fitness, that's really wonderful to hear. I know myself, I used to think that you had to just go really hard. And I've actually discovered that my 20-minute gentle regime of a morning is actually producing some wonderful results that I never would have thought about had I not started thinking about this from talking to Grant. So again, it's 20 minutes and I do get I do get sweaty and my heart does race, but they're not big weights. They're not big movements. They're very quite gentle and structured and more thinking about engaging the muscles and the muscle memory. So I did 5 years of Pilates before I got a chronic illness. And so I know, even though it's been a substantial amount of time since I've done those hard Pilates workouts, but my muscles still remember. And if I can consciously engage them, they do benefit. So um, anyone can probably do that work, and it doesn't have to be as hard as what we might think. How do you challenge the beliefs for some of the clients that you see, Grant? How do you alter their thinking? Is that by showing them how those
Yes,
exercises work?
by coming to experience what I share. And it was
Yeah.
interesting that you brought that up, Toni, because I had a gentleman on Friday afternoon at the
Yes.
rehab, the detox and rehab centre. He's coming there because I've got I get called in to do they've got drug and alcohol issues and stuff like that. But anyway, one of the
Yes.
gentlemen I had, he wanted a exercise regime, and he was like a real that just one of those real aggro, just kind of like tense and everything like that, and thought, yeah, you got to go hard to get any results. And I asked him what sort of exercise that he did, and he said, I go hard all the time. I go hard all the time, just like that. I said, oh, that's cool. Well, I'm going to just show you a different sort of aspects of fitness, because I said, I can understand where you're at because I've been there myself and stuff like that. So I
Yes.
just took them through some beautiful power flow Tai Chi, Qigong's type movements, not a little
Mm-hmm.
bit different to what you see in the park, but sort of the
Yes.
movements like that. And within 10 minutes, he was in a sweat. He was just in a sweat. He could not believe it, just with that movement, the controlled
Yes.
movements, the postures and all that, about holding those postures and stuff like that. And he said at the end of the session, which is only around about, I gave him about a 40-minute session
Uh-huh.
total, including the warm down and the stretch down. And he said, you have
Mm-hmm.
changed my whole belief system of what I considered fitness to be. And that was just in one session from one of my
Isn't
Bodyflow sessions. Yeah.
that must make
So
you feel really people discover that, life's tough. Let's not make it any tougher than it needs to
that's
be.
right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
he obviously felt like it was working for him. So it must have been quite a big moment for him to discover at the end of that 40 minutes, he'd still had a really good workout, but he wasn't going hard and fast. He was just doing
No,
things that, yeah.
he was used to
Um,
sort of doing heavy weights and all that type of stuff.
yes.
And I just like added some qigong stuff. And he had a point where he couldn't even hold his arms up doing some of the beautiful movements and the rotation and all that. It's just
And that,
control flow. Yeah. And he was only a guy, probably late 30s, early 40s. Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So he just like shaped a belief system. And when I told him that, oh, yeah, I'm in my mid to late 60s, he went, it was just like
Exactly.
a pin drop, because again, someone, they think that like a 60-plus-year-old is taking kind of like some other people. Again, that conditioned belief system comes in and says, hang on, I'm 40, he's 60. How can he give me a good, decent workout? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's that on how people have a think on their conditioned belief system, how they think you should be at a particular age. And that's, again, my mission, to sort of change that whole belief system, to enhance it, to alter it, that whole system. So yeah, it's one of my big missions to do that. So it's an ongoing process and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, the biggest issue I have is with guys.
Interesting.
The guys have the egos, and that brings up another point there, Toni, about that, because that holding on to that ego, that macho image and all that, creates a lot of damage, because guys are used to kind of like having to want to fix everything and stuff like that, but they have things eating inside of them. And if you notice this, because I work a lot with mental health, with processes where I sort of work, and the suicide rate in Australia at the moment, weekly, is over 60 a week, and of those, 8 of the 10 are men. So that tells you something, that ego, that image, that kind of like big macho image is eating away inside them. About us guys have to learn to become vulnerable, not weak, vulnerable.
Yes, Grant, I've been having lots of conversations the last week. It's wonderful that you bring this into our conversation today. I've actually been talking to both men and women about men and their preconditioned beliefs around who they should be and how they should be in this world. And some of the conversation have been around our need to embrace men and encourage them to know that it's safe to be vulnerable, that that showing emotion is not weakness, that talking about how you feel is not weakness. It actually is a show of strength if you can go and search out to talk to. And our men are killing themselves because they perceive that talking to someone about the things that are going on in their brains is weakness, and it's not weakness. It's absolutely strength to reach out and get some help. And we've had such a horrible year. 2020 has not been pleasant, and it's been made worse by the epidemic of mental health issues that have been shut down and closed away because we've been in lockdown, essentially. And so that leads me into, I'd really like to know, Grant, what you consider all-round wellness, healing, and fitness looks like from Grant's perspective. What does that look like for you?
Okay, it's you get it down to simplicity. It's got to be simple. Like, everybody's looking for complexities in whatever they sort of do, like go to the gym, all those complex machines and everything like that, all those kind of like $1,000 machine, everything like that isolate the movement and everything like that. I use it, make it simple, use the things beautifully around, that we have surrounded you, like tables, chairs. I did my live video. You saw that was sitting on a Swiss ball, which you can do on a chair. My latest one, which I sent to you, Toni. Posts, bench seats, walls. I can give people just a simple routine, 15, 20-minute using a wall, all the beautiful thing, doorways, all the things around you. And then I add in things like a simple $5 power tube, TheraBands, those type of things. Very simple. And you can just like wrap them around a post, stand on them and all that type of stuff. So when I go away, I just do that. Because people say, when they look at me, they think, oh, you go to the gym all the time, don't you? I said, I don't go near a gym. I've been there. I don't go near a gym. I just use things around me, use my own body movement, my own body weight and things like that, add a little bit of resistance with certain power tubes and stuff like that. Just simple, because I say to people, I said, okay, if you drop a big dumbbell on your foot, you're going to be out of action. But I said, if you drop down a power tube, a little band on your foot, you're going to be okay.
Yep.
And I can just like move forward or way to gather my resistance. So I can kind of like either have a 5 kg resistance, or I can have a 10k or a 15k resistance by how far I'm away from my attachment point. So it's just like very simple, and you're not going to ever injure myself. And that's what all my clients say to me. And they say, Grant, you give us a beautiful workout, but we never, ever get injured. Never.
Yes.
You'll never get injured because I stress posture, being present, slowing down so you get the full range of motion. People want to go 100 miles an hour and they shorten the range of motion. They're jerking their whole bodies around. It's got to be smooth and sort of graceful. I mean, you can just like add a little bit of the tempo. Just add a bit of tempo, slow, faster, holds. So you're varying it around all the time. When you go to the gym machines, it'll either only take you up and down or that 2-dimensional movement. I'm into 4, 5, 6, 7-dimensional movements. So you're going in all different angles, the possibility that your body's been designed to do. So that's it in a nutshell.
Grant, I want you to show the people who are watching your muscle structure on your arms. Can you hold up your arm for me so I can see? So see that muscle structure on Grant's arms and his upper biceps? There's no gym work there. None. He doesn't go to the gym. This is all done with simple ways, and that's part of Grant's philosophy. And so, Grant, I know that you have lots of modalities that you consider when you're developing people's personalized programs. What sort of modalities do you find that help with your clients? So specifically, Grant Wood, what are your favorites?
Okay, I start off when a person, because I had a person this morning that I've come through from today, but I first met her at the detox rehab center. Okay, she had sessions with me and she was blown away. So now that she's out, she's called me in to do private sessions because she was just so impressed with what I did, and she wants me on a weekly basis. Tomorrow I'm giving her, she's doing a foot reflexology and a magnesium foot spa because she experienced that when she was in the rehab, stuff like that. When I first see a person, I go through just to find out where they're at, where their level of fitness is, how their posture is. So I go through just some simple, basic movements. And I find the best is Tai Chi. Tai Chi flow, okay? A little bit different than what you see out the park, but I add Tai Chi movements to find out where they are. And I just do some simple stretch movements, a little bit of gentle balance stuff, because then I find out where they're at with their action or their posture or that. That takes about sort of 10 minutes, and I work out. And from there, I can alter my level according to where they're at that particular time. There's a few people there who have done much, and I'll do things on a chair where they're doing a workout sitting on a chair or a bench, and they get blown away with the simple movements that I had them sitting on a chair. So that's what how I started off. Just simple, but I had them movement, all different angles, all the different ways that we need to move on a daily basis. And that's one of my other emphasis, is to help people improve for their daily functional activities, their everyday things that we need to do and the things that we love to do. That's going to help us with that.
Walking and sitting, isn't it, Grant?
Yes, and quite often people sitting at the one place. They're sitting there. The big thing now these days is like sitting at the computer all the time. So the body is held in that one rigid position. You're locked up at the hips. Yeah. So I can just say, okay, just stop for 10 minutes and just I have two office people that they call me in once a month to do chair massages. But before I start, I said, okay, we're going to do a little series of 5 minutes, do a workout. I said, you're all sitting at your desk. They're sitting at their desk, office people. And these ones are only all young. None of them are over 35, the ones that offices that I go to. And I go and take them through some movements on the chair, and they go, wow, they cannot believe it. And just like that, making a neck move. All there was one, stand up, sit down, and all those particular ones. Grab the knees. So you can go, like, give people a beautiful, stretchy, I call it a stretchy fit routine in 10 minutes. And they go, just that. So some of the people, I've had people that hardly done anything, like they were maybe in their late 60s, 70s. A couple of my clients are in their 80s, and they love what they do, love what I do. And I've got one of them, she's back playing golf and bushwalking again, and she's 81.
That's awesome. That's
just through movement, just through getting them to move it, functional movement that's going to help them in their everyday life.
Yeah. I know another one of your favorites is massage, and I'm going to love talking about this because one of my favorite health and fitness and wellness things is massage. I'm a huge proponent for the use of massage in keeping us healthy, helping our mental health. And I was researching about massage in preparation for our show today, Grant. I didn't realize that it was one of the oldest healing traditions on earth. And many ancient peoples, including the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, Chinese, and Indians, all used massage to treat ailments. So it's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. And for those of you that aren't familiar with massage, and because it's such a prominent part of who I am, I found it strange to realize that not everyone understands the importance of massage, and not everyone realizes what exactly massage is. And it's a process of kneading and manipulating a person's muscles and soft tissue to improve their well-being or their health. And it involves holding and moving and applying pressure to muscles, tendons, ligaments, and fascia. And also, research would suggest that massage is effective, and one of the most effective things in managing subacute or chronic lower back pain, delayed onset muscle soreness, anxiety, stress, soft tissue injuries, high blood pressure, and insomnia. So I knew it was good at relieving stress and tension, but I didn't realize it had the effect of lowering blood pressure and reducing muscle soreness. So do you find that massage helps many people in many ways?
Absolutely. The ones who experience, I'm talking about like proper quality massages, okay? Again, it comes to that conditioned belief system. Basically, in the Western cultures, the early days, it's changing a lot now. People had a wrong, the conditioned belief system, massage, they had that sexual connotations all the time, that early, but especially, again, men, that conditioned belief system from Western culture with men. Okay. And when I first experienced massage, which is back when I was competing, back a number of high level competing, I used to get regular massages, and I had a lot of guys say to me, said, oh, and they sort of carried on. I said, well, I'm doing it to kind of like help reduce my soreness, get rid of lactic acid and all that sort of stuff, get rid of the tensions in the joints where the muscles are having a tug of war against the joints and all that type of, all those type of issues, open up the meridian channel so you got to get blood flow and all number of sort of type of issues. And when I started thinking, I said, when the opportunities come, I'm going to get into this massage treatment. And when I started doing the courses, all the teachers said, Grant, you've got a natural affinity for it. I just said, oh, I'm just there because I just said, I love it. So just from there, I just started doing one modality and started learning more on the type of things that I knew was going to help myself, then to help others. So at the present, I've got about 8 different modalities that I do, and I vary them according to the needs of the person, because people have got different needs. So so I do like advanced. All my techniques are all advanced type massage techniques there.
Yeah.
But people at the end of it, I had a lady who had an hour and a half yesterday, where I did, and I combined a lot of stretch movements, right in there, releasing all those tense spots where the muscles attach into the joint and the skeletal bones. And when you feel like pain, I say to people, oh, that's like a stagnant pond. It's like a stagnant pond, okay? So there's a blockage there. So you need to get that stagnant pond flowing again, because we all know how yucky stagnant ponds are. So you need to get that flow, so you can get the blood flow and the oxygen into those particular areas. And when you come into the trigger point areas, certain points where one point like that, and you go into the air and they go, oh, ouch. I said, that's like a rusted lock. And I said, we know how hard rusted locks are to move, okay? So we need to get some movement, gradual, steady little lubrication, so we can get that blood flow, so that lock moves again. So that allows the muscles and that to do what they're supposed to do. And some people just say, oh, and they get a sore pot. They say, oh, you're hurting me a little bit. I said, no. I said, that's pain that you have got locked in your system. I said, do you want to keep it, or do you want me to help get rid of it? Okay, but we'll do it just to your level of threshold point, because a number of you probably all experienced where a person bores in so hard that you're white knuckling on the edge of the table. Okay, I can do those styles. I've done all those styles, but I've modified them around so I can get the same level without having the person, because I like to have the person in a state of relaxation when they're having my massage, so I can get in and do the healing and stuff like that. And all the people, when they finish doing what I should do, because I do a lot of stretch, a lot of movements, it incorporates a lot of Zen Shiatsu, so it's like stretch movement. They say, oh, wow, I'm feeling so relaxed yet energized, because you've opened up all the meridians and the blood flow. And people said they've never, ever experienced a massage like it, because they say, oh, what style is that, Grant? I said, oh, it's Grant style. I said, it's a combination of all the different modalities that I have learned over my years. So I said, how I would treat you is different on how I would treat another person, because they've got different issues. So I can just in my first little 5 minutes, like I did with my Bodyflow, I find out where the person is at. I just go over their body to find out where they've got different blockages, different stuff like that, and I'll go like that, and they say, oh, so I hope that's, so I can feel, and so I just do it over, and then I can find, so then I can vary what I need to do with that person, which is going to be different to the person next to them, another person. So so I do a little a crossover, okay? And the person might say, oh, what issues have you got? I say, oh, neck issue and stuff like that. But quite often where they've got their neck issue is not where their problem is. So I do that with a little bit of exploration. They might have a neck issue because of another issue, okay? Or they might find they got a lower, they said, oh, it's my lower back. I said, okay, let's find out. I said, it could be relating to your glute issues, your glute muscles aren't firing. And I said, therefore, the poor lower back and the poor hamstring has to take the extra load, and it's not designed for that. It's designed as a support system. So, So that's,
I know. I didn't sort of start having massages until my late 20s. And I remember distinctly the first massage I ever had. A woman was kneading my back, and there were lumps in my back. So I now know that my tension gets stored in my upper shoulders, and I get sticky lumps of tension in my upper shoulders. So I now know, after 20 odd years, 30 odd years of massage, that it's tension. but I didn't know back then. And I remember this woman just trying to get rid of these knots in my upper back and how painful it was as she tried to physically, forcibly move them out through my muscles. I now know that you've got to go gently, 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 and massage around them and into them and like disperse them
Just
because
move
they're
around. That's it. Yep. Yeah, that's it.
definitely.
So people are going to find, people have got different thresholds. So I purely work toward a person's threshold point. Yes, they're going to feel it, but we're never, ever going to have them where they're going to be white knuckling on, I call it white knuckling on the edge of the table where they tension up so much. So I never have that. I just work on the people's threshold point, do just beautiful, lot of stretching and movement, because all those
Yeah.
knots, the muscles having the tug of war,
Yes.
So you've got ones pulling more than others, and they're normally pulling
Yeah.
against the spine and the joints, because that's where the issues go. Because I have a person
Yeah.
say, I've got a calf issue, and I say,
Huh?
let's have a look where the muscles attach onto the joints up there, the knee down there, right down there, and by the ankle, all those attachment points, that's where the issue. So they might be sore in the body of the muscle, but the real
Yes.
pain is going to come when the muscles are attaching onto the joints and the skeletal system, your attachment and
Yeah.
your insertion points of the muscles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, yeah.
So one of the biggest benefits for me in terms of massage is that deep feeling of relaxation and calm. Now, I never used to be able to fall asleep, but now my body knows, okay, this is a massage, you can switch off now. And there's nothing quite as wonderful as that restful, almost sleeping, semi deep sleep feeling that you get from a good
Sure.
massage. Was reading on the weekend that some of those benefits of that deep feeling of massage can actually release endorphins into your body and reduce those stress hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, and or
Definitely.
epinephrine. They're reduced by massages, something that I didn't actually realize. I realized that they produce endorphins because I get that lovely, relaxed, calm, sleepy, wonderful feeling. I didn't realize that they can actually reduce those stress hormones. And I guess that's why massage is such a key component of what you do, Grant.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say that, because I've had a number of people hug me after they've had the massage, even though they've had a few little shots. Hug me, they said, and have gone into semi tears and stuff like that. They said, you have released emotional stuff that's in their body as well. That tension is
Yes,
held in the muscle joints and stuff like that. And you open it up and you get a beautiful open up the meridian channels and you get that beautiful blood flow and oxygen where you kind of like, as I said, releasing that sort of, getting that stagnant pond flowing again. Because that kind of like in that stagnant pond area is where all that
yes,
emotional kind of like crap has been held and stored in it as well. And once you get that
yeah,
going, they go, wow. So they just get an enormous relief and they kind of like feel beautifully energized. Not energized where you're hyped up, but just that beautiful energy. And that's what that lady I had here an hour and a half, and she's a yoga instructor, and she said she had
uh-huh,
never, ever experienced a massage like it before and like that. And she said, I
yes,
feel, whew. She said, I want to go and lie down and rest, but she said, I feel nicely energized and
yes,
stuff like that. So, yeah. And
yeah.
so that was kind of like beautiful. Yeah,
I
and
know.
it's interesting, Toni. I was going to bring up another point there with, again, the issue with men's ego, because again, it's a number of the men that's changing a lot, but you still have the issue where guys say, I don't need any of that stuff. I don't need any of that sort of stuff. And guess what I
Yes,
say? I say, oh, that's very interesting. I suppose you don't service your car either.
yeah,
I don't suppose you service your car either. And they look at you. Of course I service my car. I said, why do you have your car serviced? So it runs better, so it doesn't break down. So it's kind of like it's less likely to break down. It's going to run better and smoother. I said, oh, interesting. I said, don't you want to have those same feelings?
Yeah. That's
and
a
they don't
great
know how to
explanation.
answer it. When you come back like that, they do not know how to answer that question. When you relate it back to something that, the car, all that, the vehicle stuff like that.
Yeah. It's actually about keeping your body in its best state, and they're all linked. Mind, body, spirit, they're all linked. I know too, I was reading a little bit about, I follow a trauma practitioner called Dr. Vanderkai, and one of his key sayings is that the body keeps score. So if you consider all the things that we put our body through, and his work is particularly around trauma and the interaction between trauma healing and massage, and how for some people certain types of trauma make it incredibly difficult for them to accept massage as a component of their healing therapies. But his research would suggest if you can get the right masseuse to work with that traumatized person, that the massage is the key to releasing some of the emotional trauma that they hold within their bodies, with the underlying belief that the body keeps score, no matter whether it's a physical, mental, or spiritual injury. The body keeps score of that. So his research would suggest that in certain types of trauma, the trauma resides in certain parts of the body. And his link was to lower back pain and childhood trauma. So that lots of his research would suggest that lots of people with childhood trauma have lower back pain in adulthood, and it's unresolved and unresolvable until they start to do some of the massage modality and fitness therapy that helps to start release that tension and that pain. That's where it sits in their lower body. Do you find that sometimes clients discover underlying emotional connections to their body that you're able to help them release?
Definitely, definitely, but both with my Bodyflow movement and that, because it's about, one of my main is to get people present with the now, to get them present with where they're at. Okay, so they're not just going through the motions. And that's the first thing. I spend the first couple of minutes doing some like breathing stuff to get people focused and present on where they're at now. So all of the outside influences, I said, leave those behind. Okay, you'll be able to get back to those. They won't go away. Okay, you just kind of like just be present now and everything like that. And people become really amazed on kind of like doing that, the difference that it makes, because to me it's about all getting balance, about getting muscle balance, so the body can function the way that it can do. And if you've got kind of like that balance happening, it's going to help with your emotional state and your spiritual state and that and all that aspect. So it's all getting that balance, which is an ongoing thing, because there's aspects that kind of create that imbalance all the time. And again, if you've got muscle imbalances, that's quite often related to an emotional or a stressful thing that's happened in your body. So once you create tension in your body, straight away you've got muscle imbalance, which is going to affect you emotionally and spiritually and mentally as well. And then the way you move and the way you react to things, all that aspect. Yeah.
So Grant, you can find, you can help people work by working on people's body with the body flow and massage and movement combinations. You're actually able to help them with some of that emotional stuff as well. Do you find that that they're finding that they're enjoyment of life increases once they start a program with you?
They do. I have the people that's interesting you brought that up there, Toni. Since the start of the COVID thing and all that, where gyms and that closed down, and I had a few of my friends who were, were going to the gym because quite often people just go there for social. But when the gyms closed, they said, "Oh, what am I doing now?" They said, "Oh, I'll go and Grant's sharing and stuff like that. I'll go and do some things with Grant." But all the people that started with me at COVID don't want to go back to the gyms. They're not interested in going back to the gyms because I've enhanced their whole belief system, and they just want to come to me. I suppose in some ways people get with hooked on what I do because I make them feel good and only make them say, I said, "I only want you to work on where your body is allowing you to work." I said, "Don't push it behind." I said, "You're not competing in a national team or anything like that." I said, "You don't need to prove anything." I said, "Just enjoy the experience and just work on where your body's allowing you to take it." I said, "To your threshold point and stuff like that." So that's so my flow of happenings are basically threefold increased with the number of people that I saw from pre-COVID to that, and all the people that are coming don't want to go back. Don't go back to the gyms.
Yeah. Again, it's actually nice to develop a relationship with the person who's helping you most with your body. So, Grant, we know that you do this beautiful body flow series. We know that you do massage. Are there other elements that you incorporate if they're warranted?
Such as what? An example there. That's pretty well I do, but I like the people, like I incorporate, because I also do, as the weather's getting warmer now, at the end of my, sometimes I'll go down to the nice pool area, soft pool, and I'll finish off the activity with some beautiful body flow in the water, using the resistance of the water. And I'll put little swimming paddles on, and I'll do that. I do that now that there with some of some of the people that come to me. So I add that, and I like bike riding and all that sort of stuff. As you probably know from my first one, I used to be a high level endurance athlete, but I don't do any of that running impact sort of stuff now because my joints would say, "No, naughty boy, you don't need to do all that sort of stuff." And I just wouldn't do them because the injuries that I've done to myself in my past would not like to do. So it's all like pretty well non-impact sort of type movements now. So I like my bike riding, a little bit of gentle walking and swimming, different swimming stuff. So I'll go down the pool and I'll just do like a lot of aqua aerobics type sort of stuff. So I add that in as well.
The water itself offers the body a resistance that's good for it, isn't it?
Sure.
The exercises in the water, it delivers for you a resistance by virtue of you being in the water, which is good for you as well. And it also keeps your body cool as well. So you're not heating up your muscles.
So I can do a body flow movement, and I'll put give people little small swimming paddles so they've got added resistance, and we'll just go through different moves through the water. And I'll do that, starting to do that now that the weather is warming up. So it's quite pleasant being in the water at the end. And I'll do that quite often as a conclusion to the session. Because a lot of the people that I see are like this morning. I had two, either like few one-on-ones, but I have a lot of pairs, a lot of couples, two guys, two ladies, couples. And I have a lot of that. Then I have a few smaller groups where I only have a maximum of 10. I don't like the big groups because I've seen too many of that, and no way can the person running the class watch everybody and see that they're doing it well and correctly to get the benefit, the maximum benefit, and to totally avoid injuries. So I'm not a big one for those big, massive classes.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that you couldn't do that, because as a teacher, you've had classrooms full of 30, 35 kids. So,
Shit,
but
that's
it's
it.
nice
Yeah,
to
that's
know
it. Yeah,
the
yeah.
smaller groups so that you can keep that individualized.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can do that, but I can do that.
Yeah.
You can sort of do that with learning the process so a little bit online, so people can access my little live videos and that I do. Yeah, because I endeavour to do those at least once a week.
Yes.
Sometimes I might be busy one, but I'll sort of normally do them. So it's normally every 2 weeks, and anything that I give, people can do those for 4 or 5 weeks, and then the next one I do is change. So as you've seen the few that I've done, Toni, not one is the
And
same.
no, that's right. That's exactly right. They're very good. I love that Grant sends them to me. Now, we are completely out of time already, but I just want you to know, if you want to connect with Grant, jump onto radiotoni.com and you will have the contact details for Grant on the website. And he is a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and understanding around the body, health and wellness. And I'm sure that he would have no problem at all answering any questions any of the listeners might have. So jump onto radiotoni.com, where we'll have a direct link to Grant's contact details. This, unfortunately, is our lot for this week. We will be back next week with Grant to talk some more about mind, body, and soul, and how to stay healthy, fit, and happy in your over 50s. And it doesn't mean that you have to stress your body and do the hard yards. It can actually be a wonderfully gentle, fulfilling, awesome experience. Grant Wood, thank you so much for being on Radio Toni again this week. We will be back this time next week with Grant for another conversation around Bodyflow and all things Grant Wood. Thank you so much, Grant. Over to you, TJ, and bye for now, everyone. Good evening, America, and good morning, Australia. You're back listening to Radio Toni Every Day Business. I'm your host, Toni Lontis, and this show is the business show with a difference, where we talk to individuals with interesting business stories, and today is no different. So we are continuing our conversation with Grant Wood, and Grant is a massage therapist and Bodyflow personal trainer. 68-year-old Grant helps others maintain and improve all aspects of healing, from injury recovery, flexibility, and range of movement to general fitness. And he doesn't believe in doing this by compromising the spine, muscles, tendons, or joints. Grant works with people over 50 to enhance their lives through targeted programs, massage, reflexology, and dental flowing exercises designed to keep his clients happy and healthy. He uses the concept of being totally present with breath, body and spirit, as well as emotional connection. So today I thought we would explore Grant's knowledge and understanding around reflexology, which he uses in particular for feet. Now, for those of you that don't know what reflexology is, it's a type of massage that involves applying different amounts of pressure to the feet, hands, or ears. And I didn't realize you could do reflexology with the ears, but there you go. It's based on a theory that these body parts are connected to certain organs and body systems. People who practice this technology are called reflexologists. So how does it work? It's based on a few different theories, and it is from ancient understanding from the Chinese and the Indians. In traditional Chinese medicine, reflexology rests on the ancient Chinese belief of qi, or vital energy. According to this belief, qi flows through each person. When a person feels stressed, their body blocks qi. This can cause an imbalance in the body that leads to an illness. Reflexology aims to keep the qi or energy flowing through our body by keeping it balanced and disease-free. In Chinese medicine, different body parts correspond with different pressure points across the body. Reflexologists use maps of these points in the feet, hands, and ears to determine where they should apply the pressure. They believe their touch sends energy flowing through the person's body until it reaches the area of need of healing. We know that these techniques are incredibly helpful for a wide range of people in releasing and allaying pain, stress, and blockages in the body. It's also believed that it helps with reducing high levels of pain, psychological symptoms such as stress and anxiety, and it enhances relaxation and sleep. Given that reflexology is a low-risk technique, you can be assured that anyone who does this technique will absolutely, at the very least, give you some relaxation and stress relief. So, in general terms, reflexology is a gentle, subtle, but cumulative practice. So, it's generally understood that one technique or one session will not be enough, and that further sessions will have the most benefit for you and your body. So, for example, one treatment every 6 weeks for 6 months is likely to have a better uh, chance at healing you and your body than anything else. So we're going to continue this conversation with Grant, and we'll ask him all about his reflexology practice, and then we're going to talk on the power of magnesium. So good morning, Grant. Okay. Oh, Grant, I'm sorry. I fear that it stopped recording at some moment. So let me...
It did, because it gave me a message, but it's now saying that it's recording again.
Okay, all right. I can probably fix that up in editing. So let's go back, and I'll fix this bit up in editing. Let's go back to reflexology. I'll start with that question again. So Grant, you do lots of work with feet, and you use reflexology
Sure.
as your main treatment. So for those people who don't know what reflexology is, can you tell me what your version of reflexology does with the feet?
It realigns the feet. It rebalances the feet. That because your feet, can you relate it to the tires and the wheels of your car? So if you've got ball tires or they're out of balance, you're going to get extra wear. So if your feet aren't grounding or moving the way that they should, it's going to create postural imbalances. And when you've got postural imbalances, that creates muscle imbalances, which can refer it to different areas in your body. It might be your knees, it might be your ankles, it might be your hips, it might be your back, because the way that you're walking and the way that your posture is. So it's putting different stresses on your muscles. So it can be creating muscle imbalances, and it can affect people in different ways. Some it affects their knees, some it affects their ankles, some it affects their hips, some it affects their lower, their back, and all those things like that. So your feet are to be your foundation. It's the thing that has been earth, is being grounded to the earth. And quite often with the shoes that we wear, that creates further imbalances because it doesn't allow always the feet to move and to, that they're designed to move, and lock some certain ones up. You know, some of those high heel shoes, or some of those kind of like fancy running shoes and all that sort of stuff, that they aren't. So the closer you can get to bare feet, the better. The closer you can be to bare feet is the better, because you're kind of like, your feet can then move the way that they can. Now, a lot of people end up with kind of like foot problems is because of, over the years, of kind of like incorrect footwear there, and not being grounded enough, not being in bare feet enough, and not walking on the sand, not earthing yourself, being in connection with Mother Earth. Yeah. Which is very important, because that has a certain frequency and stuff like that. And I also combine, when I'm doing there, I play certain earth frequency music, which is 432 kilohertz and 528 kilohertz. Yeah. That's kind of like a very prominent and very important earth frequency and stuff like that. So I play a lot of that type of music when I'm doing my healing, and the people love it because they just go into kind of like a real, like a trance, like a beautiful, relaxing trance. And when they're in a state of relaxation, you can do some beautiful healing. You can go into areas where they don't feel the hurt as much as they normally would. So yeah.
I'm going to pick up on that wonderful conversation about the energy and the vibrational sounds, because that I use that sort of therapy for myself all the time. But I'm not sure if people realize that as a human being, we are energy. We are completely energy.
Sure.
And as energy, there is a vibration associated with that energy. And by introducing a vibrational sound or music that is at that energy level, we help our body relax and start to heal. I'm a great believer in having those different levels of music playing in the background of my life whenever I can convince my husband it's okay. If he's not in the house, I have it playing on my on the YouTube. So you can search for vibrational music and healing music just on YouTube and have it playing on your TV or your phone or whatever in the background of whatever you're doing. I often use it as well to go to sleep because it relaxes my mind. I tend to be an anxious person, and so I actually need something that resets my mind and calms me down and gets me off into sleep. So when you said about the vibrational music that you use in your therapies, I think it's important that we talk about some of these things. People don't know or aren't aware that you can use music as a healing or a combination with a massage or a reflexology and have really great results, because it does something to the vibration or the forces within your body that cause you to relax and get more out of a healing session. So of course, when Grant combines those energies with reflexology, that's why he gets the results that he does. So the reflexology, according to Wikipedia, is a type of massage that involves applying different amounts of pressure to the feet, hands, or ears. I didn't know you could do the ears. And it's based on a theory that these body parts are connected to certain organs and body systems. And people who practice these techniques are called reflexologists. And so reflexology works by moving energy through different in the body, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. So it flows through the body and it's connected to various organs in your body.
Yes.
And you'll get the releases according to where you've got, say, blockages or imbalances happening within the body. Right. And I can open up.
Yeah.
And they flow down through the meridian channels of the body.
And that's moving.
Which is ancient Chinese philosophies, which I've known about that philosophy for a long time. The Chinese, Japanese, the Indian from the Ayurvedics, all that, they understand that whole dynamics of our body is a flow of beautiful energies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I like that people, and I have many comments there. And I had a young lady who I had yesterday. She said, I just love your massages because you do some powerful healing, but I just feel so relaxed but energized at the end of them.
Yeah.
And I just said, it's combining because I want the people in a state of relaxation. Yeah. So one can do some beautiful healing, get into those areas where you've got, I call them stagnant pond areas. Yes. So you can get those stagnant ponds flowing again, or where you've got areas of real tight spots, which to me, I said, they're rusted lock areas. Yes. They're called your trigger point areas. Yes. And stuff like that. So people have them to various degrees. So you get, there's certain points and people go, oh, and I said, well, I'm hardly touching you. So I said, that area is like a rusted lock. Or if you go into kind of like certain areas where the joints are, that's like, and they're sore where the muscles attach onto the joints and the scale, that they're like stagnant pond areas. You're not getting the blood flow or the oxygen flow into those particular areas. So that has a effect on how the muscles can function or not function.
Yeah. So Grant, those areas where you describe blocks, it can either be a number of things. Like is it related to an injury, an old injury, or a tightness in a ligament, muscle, or the fascia of the body? Is that what happens? Like the energy gets stopped there? Like I'm thinking of a I've got the vision of those creeks that have those the bridges across them that stop the water. Is that the way of thinking about energy being stopped in a body? So the energy should flow right through from our heads to our feet and out. And if it's blocked by energy or whatever else is going on in our body, the only way that you can unblock it is by using some sort of massage or any energy release.
Sure, to help, certainly help.
Yes.
And the sore spots, the people like people who are not, who where the experience is new for them, and you go and they say, oh wow, that's hurting.
Yes.
That's hurting me. I said, I'll just like work to your threshold. I said that hurt. I said is like I said that's pain blocked in the body. Yes. And I said I can help. I said you can either keep that pain or I can help it flow out and the body can do its own healing, but it needs a little bit of help in releasing those blockage areas and stuff like that. So pain is like blockage in the pathways of the body and stuff like that, and it can be manifested or aggravated by stresses in your life, which can be like physical, mental, emotional, and all that. So a lot of stress is happening through kind of like emotional stresses that are happening in the body, and the body tenses up, and they hold on to those things within their body. You know, like tight shoulders, tense back, or knotted up in the tummy, and all those particular things. So. Yeah, so that can add to the issue. So it just doesn't have to be a physical injury like a fall or a slip or being tackled or banging into someone. They create their own issues, but holding on to various emotional stresses that add to the problem. Yeah, and quite often more so. You can fix quite often. You can sort of deal with the actual physical aspects, but if they're still holding on to those emotional blockages or those mental blockages, just the pain's still there.
This is an interesting conversation because another co-host and I have been talking about trauma, and this week we talked extensively about, and over the previous weeks we've talked about trauma in relation to our body. And so the idea is that when trauma sits in our body and it's unhealed, it creates a physical ailment or a disease
Sure.
of some description. And so in talking about trauma, and particularly we're talking about childhood trauma and abuse, and we've been talking about the linkage between needing to deal and heal with that trauma so that our bodies and our lives are in better alignment. And in the research for that trauma piece, I come across a lot of stuff that says that our body keeps a score. So we might have suffered a trauma at some stage in our life, and we've gotten through it, gone on, and carried on with life. But if we haven't actually processed and healed from that trauma, the body keeps a score, and sometimes that manifests as lower back pain. In fact, the research suggests that lots and lots of trauma resides in the lower back. And I'm just wondering, from your extensive history healing and dealing with people, is that something that you find, Grant, that people come with a...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Lower back and also neck issues, neck, shoulder issues.
Yes.
A lot of people's stresses are held in their neck and their shoulders. So a lot of that is there. Lower back, neck and shoulders are big issues where a lot of emotional areas are whole, because you naturally go, like that when you brace yourself and you squeeze up. So yeah, so that creates muscle imbalances, muscle tension.
Yes.
So therefore, when that happens, you get it's affecting the way that you walk, the way that you move, and do a lot of things. It creates imbalances in the body, muscle imbalances in the body, which then affects everything that you do, and that can be accumulated effect. And quite often, us as our human nature, we quite often wait for something to happen.
Yes.
Before we do anything about it, rather than, and I wait and I relate it back, especially to guys who say, I don't need any of that sort of stuff. I just said, okay. I said, what about when you service your car? Especially you don't service your car. Or do you wait until the car's broken down before you get something done? Or do you keep it regularly serviced and maintained so to prevent these issues that can happen? And they said, yeah, so I want it going better, running better, prevent the risk of it breaking down and all that type of sort of stuff. Because you just need to talk to mechanics. They just said pretty well big percentage of their jobs are coming back through the people who haven't maintained their cars properly.
Yes.
They haven't done that servicing the car. So that relates back to it, and I relate it back to our body. But I said our body's far more complex. So we need to take care of our bodies even more so than your car.
Yes.
I said, we'll spend lots of money on our car, but I said, you forget about kind of like maintaining yourself. So I said, you maintain to be an asset to yourself. And I said, if you're an asset to yourself, you can be an asset to others. But I said, if you don't take care of yourself, and I said, that's nothing to do with ego. I said, you can easily run yourself down and become a liability to the others that you care for and love and everything like that. Then they have to sort of take care of you, rather than sort of kind of like you taking care of yourself, which cuts down the risk. There's no 100% guarantee, but it cuts down the risk of you becoming a liability, where you want to do things to yourself, simple balance of things to maintain, so you're an asset, one, to yourself, and two, to the others that you care for and love and want to be around.
We, again, relating back to our my trauma show earlier in the week, we had a really big conversation about the difficulty of men allowing themselves to be vulnerable enough to deal and heal with trauma. And so I'm I'm relating this back to exactly what you do. I know that you're passionate about men's health, and I know very much that men struggle to be vulnerable, and I would like to see a future that allows men to be vulnerable enough to heal before they get to the point where disease and injury controls their life. And so, Grant, we need to have that conversation with men that it's okay for them not to be the big, strong protector all the time, that they are able to look inside themselves and deal with whatever it is that they need to in their lives. And I'm wondering, does the work that you do through your body therapy and your feet reflexology, do you think that that allows men at a starting level to start to open up and deal and heal with the stuff that goes on in their mind? Have you seen that start to happen with men, or are you still seeing plenty of men who are closed off to that vulnerability and it's resulting in a physical ailment or injury?
A bit of both there, Toni. It's a good point. It's a bit of both. The men who get therapy from me because they can see how I am, because I walk my talk in all aspects to the best of my ability in my therapy work and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I not only talk about it, I do it and show it in my actions, because that's what it's got to be. Yes. We can all talk ourselves up big time, but it's whether you are showing that talk with the actions of what you should do. So you've got to kind of walk the talk, as I say to people, and like that. And I do that with men. So it's a little bit of both. Yes, there's still an element of where guys are closed off and stuff like that. And that's kind of like a work in progress. But the ones who are open and do come to experience what I do and share,
yes,
the transformation that happens is kind of like immense, and they'll come up and sort of say it and that as well. They just said, "Oh, you've just transformed my whole belief system. What I thought fitness and wellness and all that was about." And I said, "Yes, it's important for us to be vulnerable, and being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's kind of like, to me, it's a sign of showing strength." And being vulnerable. In other words, admitting that, okay, us guys need some help. Not that we aren't the ones that fix us all the time. Sometimes we need fixing, and we've got to be open to be able to be fixed. And that, and in most cases, it's emotional. Like physically, we think that we're all okay, but quite often we're not. Because I again point out to sort of guys, I said, just look at the statistics.
Yes.
Of there. I said hospitals, over 70% of men, okay?
Yes.
And the mental health, okay, 7 out of 10 is men. Yes. Issues, okay? 7 out of 10 are men. I said men statistically die before women because of kind of like the heavy demands they've put onto themselves, their unconscious and stuff like that. So I just said that men, we aren't as bulletproof as we think we are. I said we need to be open, and just to open our minds, open our hearts, which is a big thing, to infinite possibilities that we need fixing as well, and how we deal with problems and all that. It's an ongoing issue, because you just sort of see on us how we react to things. There's a lot of people just say, "Oh, I've let go of something," and then a point comes up and they react exactly the same way that they've always reacted. So they haven't let go, or haven't really learned to take it on board on the things that they should. So yeah, it's an ongoing process, and I think it's been open to kind of like the gentle flowing process of healing and wellness and moving and all that it doesn't have to be aggro and aggressive and harsh and hard there. We've got to have that, again, it comes down to that balance between that softness, that yin and yang. It's important. We all got to show it. But both men and women need to show that yin and yang. Like some women need to show a little bit more aggression sometimes. Just to get that balance, which is an ongoing process. So it's not always women need to be meek and mild and, you know, like all crumble under pressure. It's
Yes.
it's finding that balance. So it's a difficult one because none of us know how we're going to react when we kind of like faced with a particular issue and things like that. So yeah, so I don't know whether that's covered your question or not, Toni.
Grant, do you find that it's the older generations that struggle the most with these conversations about healing and vulnerability, or is it a kind of a mix from your practice?
Mixed.
Yeah.
A very mixed attitude. Yes, some of the older ones have trouble like changing their concepts, things like that. The younger ones who struggle with it are the ones who have, because of their conditioned belief system from being taught from their fathers or uncles or whatever in their past. So that's the process. But the older ones, if they've held on and had those belief systems for so long, they become like kind of like concrete within your body. So it's kind of like harder to get rid of that concrete, you know, because it's set, you know, it's all that set. So like that, where maybe the younger ones who have been exposed to kind of like that more gentle approach, where the cement hasn't set and concrete, it can easily be flowed out a lot more easily. Yeah. So, but it's definitely mixed aspects and stuff like that. Yes. Yeah, I know personally. There's a lot of guys that find me difficult to to take, but I've learned not to take it personally, where I sort of did a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And learned to say, well, it's not my issue, it's their issue.
Yes.
And also too, it comes down to that frequency within us. Yes. On what frequency we're operating at, whether we're operating in that beautiful frequency that's like the Mother Earth, yes, or whether you're at sort of kind of like at a different frequency where it's kind of like where it's sort of harsh and things like that, you know. Yeah, yep. The different styles of music and stuff like that, whether you're open to that. But to me, like, you know, we can sort of connect with people and you can just tell straight away whether you're on the same frequency or on the same wavelength. Yeah. Like when you and I met at that meeting, okay? Yes. We just like straight away kind of like had that nice, beautiful frequency without even saying much to each other. Yes. We just like, you've just felt it, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And it's the same with when you have connection with other people and things like that. And guys like who find me like who are not on that different frequency and stuff like that, they go, oh, like that. They kind of like just say, oh, that guy's on it from another planet. And that's good. I like to be in that other planet.
I was just going to, when you get one of those concrete guys that come to you for injury of some description, do you find it a challenge to try and get through to them in a way that will help them the most? Because it's from our perspective, that enlightened perspective, we know that shifting energy and the things that you do will really help them. Do you find it a challenge to actually get them to give you a try? Because I know when they give you a try, yes, it's very obvious that what you do works and they need that in their life. But getting them to give you a try, is that a challenge for you?
It is, but all my therapy sessions, because quite often when you kind of like in the past, or you've been to some therapists and people like that, and the therapist talks, okay? Yes. Where quite often part of the therapy is to have calmness and stillness.
Yes, yes.
Just let the person be in the moment and the presence and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's a state that I like to have the people. And people like, you know, like have like that. I did it in my learning too, where you're just talking, you're trying to talk and getting the question. Yeah. And then I know when I have some therapy work, you just kind of like want to be, wow, you want to be in the moment, you want to be in the present, you just want to feel what they said are doing. So I do it mostly now with that, and the people love that. And I play the beautiful music, and I don't know about you, Toni, I can just like tell the type of music that I need to play for that particular person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can just tell the type of music to have them in a state of relaxation.
Yes.
And then the guys who've got concrete within them,
Yes.
because quite often it shows up in their and their muscles and their the way they hold themselves, the way they even lie, and
Yes.
everything like that. And then you just go into some various points where they've got concrete. You go into where the insertion points are, because the concrete doesn't always set in those little areas, and
Yes.
you just like move around, and you can see they try to put on a brave face, but you're moving around, and they kind of like you're finding blockages, and it's hurting them, you know. But
Yes.
the pain, I'm not causing the pain. The pain's there, okay. The pain's there because of kind of like of various things that's happened in their life, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever, okay. And it's there. So I just like move that around and stuff like that. And I had them, and I'm not talking to them. I just do it through feel and touch and all that. And they come out at the end and they go, what? They just go, and I said, how do you feel? They said, oh, wow, I can move my arms and that a lot better and thing like that. Because I had one yesterday, he's kind of like a big bodybuilder, and he's got sort of had issues from over pushing the heavy weights and stuff like that. And he come to me to do stuff, and I did some releases on him. He said, oh, I want you to work on such and such, such and such, such and such. So that's good. Yeah, I just say, yeah. Just have him down quiet. And I worked on the areas where I knew where he's going to have find other areas which he didn't even know he was going to be sore.
Yes.
I just knew, and he said, oh, and I could just like feel like that.
Yes.
And anyway, I come back and he said, oh, wow, that feels good. And he booked me 2 days later to come again to get a follow-up. He said, oh, man, it feels so good. He said, oh, so he booked in another session for me to do the same. He was kind of like a big guy, 125 kilos of kind of like big, tense sort of muscles and stuff like that. And he said, you're the first person that's been able to kind of like move and get into areas where I've never, ever experienced before. So, yeah, and I just do that through quiet, not just yakking to him. Just I had him in a state of quietness and peace and harmony, which kind of like a lot of guys find a struggle to be in that space and that presence and that stillness position. Yeah, that state of total presence, calmness, and stillness.
Yes, it's so important that we give our minds and bodies some quiet space as often as we can, because it's in those quiet spaces that our intuition and that our body and mind can have that deeper alignment that relaxes not only our body but our mind. Minds these days are going 10 million, like life is fast paced. Don't take to relax and have quiet time and allow our body and our mind to catch up and to heal, because that quiet space is where healing happens, isn't it, Grant?
Sure. That's it. That's the calmness and stillness, because people don't spend much time in that presence, in that present moment. They've always got to have like other people around. They've got to have kind of the radio going. They've got to have the TV going and all that type of sort of stuff, all those distractions, all those different things that are hitting our mind. So that not in a state of kind of like calmness and peace within and things like that. So you can kind of like clear the mind of all those stuff that's coming in all around you, and I think it's a very important place to be like that. And we need to watch animals, because animals do that all the time. You know, they're in a state of presence and awareness of what's happening around them in relation to Mother Earth and the environment and things like that. Yeah.
The other thing that I want
so and with that too, I do that same with my body flow, because people sort of normally arrive and they've kind of like got things happening in their lives. Okay, so I spend the first few minutes of getting them totally present of where they are.
Yes.
Totally present. To leave, I just say, leave those other things out there, because I said they'll be still there when you get home.
Yes, they will.
Just be present now. Enjoy the presence and the moment of what you're doing now. So I do some breathing stuff, just gentle that, make sure the shoulders are all relaxed, so body's in present. And then we just like go through and I vary the type of movements that I do.
Yes.
I just change it up all the time, but they're always like beautiful gentle stretching movement, because stretching should be done in harmony with movement.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Shouldn't isolate the two.
Yeah.
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 So you just do that gently. So yeah, it's getting people present, and with the doing the massage, I'm into the quietness and still time. And the people all say, you're the first therapist that has allowed me to be just enjoy the moment and be at peace. And I just have the calm without people talk, without being talked and being out asked questions all the time. When they're down on the table, you just want to go, wow. And I can just, like, every so often I'll just say, how are you going? How are you feeling?
Yes.
Like that. And they'll feel, oh, that's hurting now. That's hurting now. I said, I can feel that. They said, how could you tell? I could just tell the reaction to the muscles. Because again, it comes with, some people think that you need to bore in. The only way the result, you've got to bore in so damn hard that you have the person white knuckling on the table. They white knuckling, and they tense up, and you shut off the whole body meridian channels. You work to the person's threshold. Yeah, I can do that. I've done all that training. I can go and do that too. I can have the person white knuckling on the table, but I've found, like, over the time of my years and like that, I've gone away from that. So you just work on where the person is at their threshold point. Yeah, they got to feel it. They got to feel it because that's how you're going to get rid of the pain.
Yes.
Help getting them get rid of pain so the body can do its own healing and stuff like that. So with reflexology, again, you work, but you're face to face with the person.
Yes.
So you're having a beautiful conversation.
Yes.
And you just, like, ask general questions about themselves, because the person needs to be made feel good about who they are.
Yes.
They need to be have their vibrations raised, their frequency sort of altered. They're about how they're feeling and sort of good. And then they open up naturally to you.
Yeah.
You just open up, and then they give in their own answers to how their healing process. Yeah. You're not telling them what they should do, because no one likes being told what they can do. They need to come up with their own resolutions, their own answers about how to solve the issue where they're at. And reflexology, that happens. I have people come up and hug me and that. They've just released so much stuff like that. Yes. But I haven't said too much to them except ask them some simple questions about themselves or their family. Got another.
I'm so sorry, Grant. I'm not sure what's happening. I'll fix it up in the auditing. Now, before we run out of time, I wanted to touch on magnesium and why it works well in this space and why it's important. I know you are a big proponent of magnesium pools. Why are they so good for our body? What does it do, and why is it so important?
Okay, good. I've got some really good information from the sources of where I get my real high quality magnesium from my good friends, because I marketed it as well, quality magnesium. I'm just going to, like, read you out some kind of simple information I got from my beautiful information here. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Yeah, I can, like that. So, yeah. I got that information. And I can get that information to you as well. Fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to read you out there. It's simple information rather than me just burbling on. Magnesium is the master mineral electrolyte that works to calm muscles, promote restful sleep, spark energy, metabolism, strengthen bones, and enhance the performance of all muscles, including the heart muscles. And you lose a lot under various stresses. However, it is nearly impossible to get enough magnesium supplements from tablets and powders if your needs are high, which is pretty well everybody, okay? Because they are difficult to digest, so you lose most in the digestive process and absorb through the gut wall. Transdermal magnesium, stuff that you apply to your skin, which is the biggest organ in your body, like that, transdermal, via the skin, works much better and faster to deliver the magnesium you need straight to the muscles and the areas where you need it. Yeah. Some athletes and people doing high stress jobs may need as much as 1,000 milligrams a day or more.
Okay.
However, if you're taking a 1,000 milligram tablet, you might get 20% of that.
Really?
But if your digestive system is great, okay, you might get up to 50%. But most people in their Western cultures do not have a good digestive system, so they'll be getting less than 50% absorption from your tablets or your powders. But with the beautiful oils and the lotions, you're getting the lot.
Yeah.
Through the skin, okay? And it goes straight through the blood system, straight to where it's required. It doesn't have to go through the digestive process.
Okay.
And it's all like beautiful, high quality. So that's given it simply in a little basic little nutshell of kind of like why magnesium is so important. It's probably one of the most important minerals that we can have, you know what I mean? Yeah. And lacking it is going to create massive imbalances. I'll read you very simply here some symptoms if you're a magnesium deficient, okay? So very simple. Persistent, stiff, sore, or cramping muscles. How many people do you know, Toni, that are always in that state?
Yes.
Okay. More accidents, prone to ligament and joint injuries, slow healing processes. Osteoporosis areas is quite often because of lack of magnesium. Persistent fatigue and washed out feeling. Decreased performance and ability to maintain the training program or your work performance or whatever. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a sports person. Increased susceptibility to infections, colds, headaches, or aches and pains. Sleep problem issues. Decreased mental concentration and focus. Foggy brain, they call that. Irritability and restlessness. Depression, anxiety, emotional sensitivity, and jumpiness. People that got restless legs, you know, there are people like that. They're magnesium deficient, big time. Depression, all those sort of things. And there's irregular heartbeats, heart issues, because magnesium is probably one of the main minerals for your heart. When you go in for a heart problem, when they go in to hospital under emergency, they give you a saline drip, which is mostly magnesium. Like that. So like they give you a saline drip, you know, so like that. Loss of appetite, weight loss, digestive disorders, constipation, leaky gut or irritable bowel syndromes. And the list goes on and on of kind of like, which are kind of like directly or indirectly related to a magnesium deficiency in the body.
So it's really, really important that we get enough magnesium. And if I've always taken magnesium. I didn't realize that it was the body had the gastrointestinal tract had difficulty metabolizing magnesium. I've also got some magnesium oil that I use on my joints. So now I'm thinking I should probably be using that more often than the tablets. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have access to a beautiful moisturizing herbal-based magnesium cream. Unbelievable. Yeah, I have access to that beautiful stuff. And there's about 4 different varieties with different herbs and essential oils in them. Yeah.
I
have access to all those beautiful stuff.
I might get you to send me a copy of that, and we'll put it up on the Radio Toni website under great information on the website, so that people who are listening.
That's it. It's beautiful stuff, and the people who do it, they get beautiful. And your good sources of, because it's magnesium, magnesium chloride, come from kind of like it's the Tibetan highlands, and there's like an area in Denmark and all that, where underground lakes and all that. So they get really pure sources of your magnesium chloride. So you get them in flakes, and then from the flakes they bring it down to a beautiful oil, and from there they use that sort of oil to make the beautiful lotions and the creams and stuff like that. And they all do that here. They only live fairly close to me, and they're beautiful people, and I know them really well. And they've got a special one too. It's called Magnesium Charge for people who are kind of like right into their sports, or kind of like, right into that. It's called Magnesium Charge. And I use that all the time. I make up a mixture using the Magnesium Charge and magnesium lotion and the oil. and I blend it together with some kind of like some beautiful essential oils, and I put that on pretty well most of my clients beforehand, especially if they got a lot of aches.
Yes.
Which most people have in some way, and I put that on, and that relaxes their muscles pretty well very quickly, combined with the beautiful earth frequency style music that I play, which I varied according to the person on how they are when they come in.
Yes.
And that puts them in a state of relaxation straight away.
Oh, fantastic, Grant. We are actually just about out of time. Thank you so much. It's been a really educational, fascinating discussion today, from reflexology to magnesium and the importance it is for our body. Now, I will make sure that we put your contact details up on the website, along with where people can connect with you, including your email, so that they can grab those beautiful magnesium products from you directly. We'll put that on the website.
Yep. Or they can go online, because I'm tied up there, so they'll know that it's when they can order it online. They know the headquarters know it comes from me. Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do that later today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Radio Toni Everyday Business. We are completely out of time, and it's been fabulous talking to you again this week. And we will be back next week, everyone, with another episode of Grant Wood and the Bodyflow technique. So over to you, TJ. That's all for now.